because when the bad guys are out there and they see there's an FBI agent, that's the ultimate in law enforcement, and they're not going to be acting so bad. We're cleaning up our city. We're cleaning up this great capital, and we're not going to have crime, and we're not going to stand for crime. And we're going to take the graffiti down, and we're already taking the tents down, and we're working with the administration. And if the administration can't do the job, we're going to have to take it back and run it through the federal government. But we hope the administration is going to be able. So far, they've been doing very well. The mayor's been doing a good job. We said there are tents galore right opposite the State Department. They have to come down, and they took them down right away. And so far, so good. But we want to have a capital that can be the talk of the world. When Prime Minister Modi of India, when the President of France, and all of these people, the head of Prime Minister of United Kingdom, they all came to see me over the last week and a half. And when they come in, I had the route run. I didn't want to have them see tents. I didn't want to have them see graffiti. I didn't want to have them see broken barriers and potholes in the roads, and we had it looking beautiful. And we're going to do that for the city, and we're going to have a crime-free capital. When people come here, they're not going to be mugged or shot or raped. They're going to have a crime-free capital again. It's going to be cleaner and better and safer than it ever was, and it's not going to take us too long. There's a new phenomena that is taking place with these violent, vicious lawyers that we have all over. They play the ref. You know what playing the ref is? Like the great Bobby Knight basketball coach. He'd scream and scream at the ref. He'd scream. I watched it. By the way, I love Bobby Knight because he endorsed me. And having Bobby Knight's endorsement in Indiana was an extremely good thing. A friend of mine said, I was running in Indiana at the time. This was early on, 2016. And I was doing great, but friend came up and said, you know Bobby Knight? I said, no, I don't, but I hear he was a tough cookie. He said, not only tough, he was beyond tough, but he's the most popular guy you can imagine. It turned out he wanted to endorse me. He called me about 2 years before. He said, sir, I'd like to endorse you. I said, is this really Bobby Knight? He said, it's me. I could tell it was Bobby Knight. He had been known for throwing the chair across the court and slapping a player. Can't do things like that, right? And the man that came in fired him. He was a new administrator for the college. That guy didn't last very long. They were like 14-0, and they fired Coach Knight. That was not good, but he had a little chip in his shoulder. But he loved Trump, and he came in, and he said, I'd love to endorse you. He said, if you ever run, please call me. So he said, you know Bobby Knight? I said, well, I don't know, but he called me a couple of years ago. It was an amazing phenomenon. I took his number, and on each side of my desk in New York, I had stacks of paper, like nice and neat, but about 2 feet high each. And I said, you know, I wrote his number down and I put it here 2 years ago. And I said, let me see if I can find it. It was almost like a miracle. I had other miracles that happened too. My ear is still throbbing. That was a miracle. That was a miracle also, wasn't it? That was a miracle also. Thank you. Thank you, Leo. Thank you. Thank you, my man. That was a miracle. Anyway, okay, that's it. That's very nice, thank you. But, so he said, Bobby Knight. So I said, you know, I put his name down and I wrote it down. It's in one of these stacks. I lifted up. There would have to be 2,000 to 3,000 pages in each stack. I lifted it up, the first one, had no idea. And there was his name on a little card, Bobby Knight with his number. It was like incredible. I tell that story all the time. And I called him and dialed the number. He said, I've been waiting for you to call. And he went out and he made a speech for me in a packed arena in Indiana, and it was over. It was over. He was a tough guy. He actually went a little far, you know, if you remember. He made a great speech because he was actually a motivational type guy, to put it mildly. But he left the stage, and then I'm talking, and he walks back onto the stage. I said, uh-oh, this is trouble. Why is he coming back? He was a big guy, too. Why is he coming back? He said, may I say a few more words? I said, yeah, go ahead, Bobby, say a few more words. A little different. And he said, and let me tell you something about this guy, Trump. This guy, if he has to, will use the nuclear weapons that we have. He will use he has no fear. He's going to use, and that's the kind of guy. And he walked off the stage. I said, I think I'm in big trouble, Pam. That was not good, but it worked out okay. In the meantime, we won the state in a landslide, and it was great. And it was just an amazing period of time. But this is the most amazing period of time. I think this is more amazing. What's taken place is more amazing. I think it's more consequential. And if we do the job, one of the big media outlets said what we did was the most consequential election in the last 129 years. Well, if we do the job that we're all capable of doing, I think it's going to prove to be that and then some. And that's what we want to do. We have a real big shot at making this country so great, so great. What happened to our country was so sad. What they've done in 4 years to our country with the borders, with Afghanistan, the most embarrassing period of time, allowing the Russian situation, it was never going to happen with Ukraine. Allowing October 7th to happen would have never happened because under me, Iran was totally broke. They had no money. They weren't giving any money to Hamas or Hezbollah. It was totally broke. But allowing inflation, look at what inflation's done to people, been so devastating. And now you see that, by the way, price of eggs is down 35% in the last week and a half. We're doing a good job. Brooke is doing a good job. Brooke Rollins and everybody. And inflation's down, interest rates are down, gasoline has come down to a level that we haven't seen in a long time. All things that we wanted to do, because then everything else is going to be coming down. We want it to come down. We want bacon to come down, and groceries, a term I used to use. It's sort of an old-fashioned term, but I used to use it on the campaign trail, those last 90 perfect, beautiful days. We just hit it. And I want to thank Susie. You have done a great job. Susie Wiles. Great job, Susie. A big magazine just named her the most powerful woman in the world, and that's okay with me. She is the most powerful woman. You think about it, John, right? The most powerful woman in the world, but she's great. And we had a great 90 days. It was a perfect 90 days, and it was a great result, but we want to put that result to good use by doing a phenomenal job. And I want to tell you that Todd and Emil know this very well. We had an amazing judge in Florida, and her name is Eileen Cannon, and I didn't know her. I still don't know her. I don't believe I ever spoke to her, even during the trial, but I did appoint her, federal judge, and these fake lawyers, these horrible human beings, were hitting her so hard, public relations-wise. They were playing the ref. I don't think it's legal. I don't think it's legal. They might as well go out and just shout it in a courthouse. They were saying she was slow, she wasn't smart, she was totally biased, she loved Trump. I didn't know her, other than I saw her the couple of days that I was in court, and I thought her decorum was amazing. Anything bad they could say, though, they were saying about her, it was whatever they could say bad about a human being, all made up. Because actually she was brilliant, she moved quickly. She was the absolute model of what a judge should be. And she was strong and tough. And how do you get them to stop if you're a judge? How do you get them to stop with the playing the ref? Bobby Knight would play the ref. That's why I brought up the Bobby Knight story. He would play the ref. He'd scream at the ref. He'd scream so hard. Oh, boy, it was terrible, actually. And the people would come up, his assistant coaches would come up to play. Coach, don't do that. Don't do it. He said, he's not going to change his tune, coach. He called it. He's not changing. I don't care. And he's screaming. That's when he threw the chair. He starts going crazy. And he said, no, he's not going to change this time, but he's going to change for the next play. And sure as hell he did. You know, Bobby, by the way, had the last undefeated team in basketball. And relatively speaking, you know, he had a team. He always had a team. He never had that. Well, he had a couple of great players, obviously, some top NBA players, but very few relatively. He had a team, but he won the national championship 3 times, but he had the last undefeated team in basketball. And he would play the rough, and he would scream at him. He knew exactly what he was doing. They're doing the same thing. They said, no, he's not going to change now, but he's going to change for the next one. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to scare the hell. They wanted to scare the hell out of the judges, and they do it. And how do you stop it if you're a judge? Because you want to go home, you have a family, you have children, and the New York Times will write whatever these people say, and the Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal, and MSDNC, and the fake news CNN, and ABC, CBS, and NBC, and they'll write whatever they say. And what do you do to get rid of it? You convict Trump. All you have to do is be really tough on him and ultimately convict him, and they leave you alone. It's totally illegal what they do. I just hope you can all watch for it, but it's totally illegal.